right, just want you to say your name and what company you represent.
Sure, my name's Corey, and I work at Klei Entertainment.
All right, Corey. My name is Jaleesa from ShitTech.com, and you know I love your game, Don't Starve. I've played it on PS4 before, but it's a little different from the other games that y'all came out with. I remember when I came to PAX 2012. Y'all were showing Mark of the Ninja, and then y'all also developed Shank 1 and Shank 2.
Yes.
So what made y'all kind of change up the formula and do something completely different?
Sure. So internally as a studio, creatively, we really like to switch things up a lot. And after doing Shank was one of our first major games with a major publisher, and it was a really hard development cycle. And when we did Shank 2, it was actually everything we wanted to achieve in Shank 1, so we really wanted to get that sequel out. When we did Mark of the Ninja, we had built this great engine off Shank, but we wanted to do something totally different than a brawler beat-em-up, and something that no one in the studio had ever developed before was a stealth game. So by doing a stealth game, basically, we just wanted to try something new using the tools that we had, and that game looked visually kind of similar to Shank.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to be known as the studio that can only draw like the games you see in Shank, because we have a ton of very talented artists. A lot of them used to be artists for like Saturday morning cartoons. Our creative director was from Disney originally. So they can do more than that. So we tried this new style, very sketchy kind of gothic, Tim Burton meets German Impressionism style. And yeah, we just visually wanted to do stuff new, which we did again with Invisible Ink, just change it up.
Okay, I was just going to say that. Also, I see today that y'all are showing a new DLC for Don't Starve. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So the Reign of Giants expansion for Don't Starve basically will redo the whole game, and for hardcore players and people who have experienced everything there is to experience in the game, it'll add 2 new characters. It also adds new threats in the season, such as summer. Winter has some changes to it, and spring and fall are relatively safe seasons, but they come with rain. And now the rain hydration meter is a part of it, and it has nothing to do with Wilson's hydration. What it's actually measuring is the rainfall in the game. And as you get waterlogged, if a rain shower is perpetually pound upon you for days on end, things start getting waterlogged. So things might actually start working less efficiently because they're damaged by wetness. You need to stand by a fire to kind of dry off and lower the meter, or you need to get into a cave of some kind to prevent that. The biggest thing, obviously, other than new items and all that stuff that comes with it, new creatures, is the giants. The giants we were kind of calling the kings of the seasons. And Deerclops, which was in the previous game, is kind of like the king of winter. Each season has a king now that you can seek out and conquer or just try to avoid. But there are different giants that have been added to the game that the players will have to traverse and get around now.
Okay, that's really cool. And I understand that y'all are trying to do something different, but you said with Invisible Ink as well. Is that a trend that y'all just don't want to be known as the people who make one type of game, like you were saying, like you just want to make a plethora of different type of games to get different gamers to, you know what I'm saying, get into your game? Yeah,
it's, well, one is, yeah, we want to make games for different people, but I think the biggest thing for us is that we don't want to do the same thing again. We want to do something new, push something further, or just try something that we've never approached as a studio before. And so with Invisible Ink, we have never made a tactical game before. So this is a tactical espionage game, uses turn-based mechanics, and the best way that we can describe it is if you take the original XCOM and FTL, and they had a baby that was raised by our game, Mark of the Ninja, and grew up watching nothing but Shadowrun. That's this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, seeing the footage of it, it looks like a little bit of XCOM.
Yeah.
A lot like, it looks like it's really like that type of game where if people who play XCOM before kind of can get into it a little more, because it's kind of the same type of aspect of the game.
One thing that we're hoping to do is that, so the turn-based aspect of XCOM and the fact that you're moving multiple units on a team, that's basically where the XCOM stuff ends. Because one of the things with XCOM and a lot of other turn-based games is that you're kind of positioning guys to be more effective in combat. And you're trying to outkill the other guys, outgun them, while hopefully not losing any of your guys to get to an exit, get to a goal, and get out. With Invisible Ink, combat is probably not something you even want to engage in. It's possible, and sometimes it's necessary given the situation, but you can ghost entire levels. And probably the best espionage act is they never knew you were there until you're gone. And so we're taking a lot of things that we learned from Mark of the Ninja ourselves and mixing it with things that we learned, like the development of Don't Starve in terms of like the procedural generation. Every single complex and company that you play in this game is going to be completely randomly generated. So like even in our demo, when somebody's playing our demo, I have no idea what is going on.
So y'all going with that type of theme where at the beginning we kind of just show you a little bit, but after that you're on your own. Because I saw that with Don't Starve, I remember playing it, and I'm like, what in the world am I supposed to do? And I died like day 2, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, okay, let me try this again and try something different. Is that what y'all kind of wanted out of this game, to actually push a gamer to actually think and think on the fly?
Kind of. Well, Don't Starve, absolutely. Don't Starve, we actually kind of had this thing in the back of our head of like when we were kids and we'd go to like a swap meet and there's like this pile of like NES games and you pick one up and you're like, oh wow, the art on the cover looks really cool. I've never heard of this before. There's no instruction booklet. I'm just going to go home and press buttons until I figure it out. And you think you're playing this game and it could be something as simple as like, oh, if I press B twice, I could double jump? That's a game changer. And it's like halfway through the game and you've never double jumped before, and we wanted that experience over and over and over again in Don't Starve. With Invisible Ink, it's kind of like information is super important, and because the thing's procedurally generated, you can't just load a level and be like, oh yeah, that's this level and that guy shows up over there and walks around over here. You need to use the strategy of your tools. You need to hack into cameras. You need to peek through doors and stuff to really quickly figure out, what does this room look like? How many guards are there? What are the threats? How do I get rid of them? Where's my point? So
basically think on the fly.
Think on the fly, get information, because information's power.
Okay. Do y'all have any idea when it's gonna make its way to the PS4 again? Like if the DLC is gonna be on there, or Invisible Ink is gonna go towards the PS4?
Sure. So Don't Starve, Reign of Giants will definitely come to the PS4. Basically, we're in the final stages of beta right now. Around April 30th, the final game will come out on Steam, and that'll be the release game. And then once we have that released game, we submit it to Sony for certification on console, because unlike Steam, we have to go through a certification process. Once it gets through that, that's when it'll go up. So it can take anywhere from like 6 to 8 weeks. It just depends on how fast it gets through.
Okay.
And with Invisible Ink, it's in alpha, playable alpha right now if you pre-order. In about another 6 to 8 weeks, it'll be in Steam Early Access, so it'll actually be have a Steam page. It's purchasable right now at InvisibleInkGame.com, and it's playable on Steam. We just don't have a page yet. Around the end of the year, late fall, early winter, we're hoping the final game will come out. It'll also release on Mac and Linux, just like Don't Starve did. And then once that's out there, we'll look at other consoles and other hardware that we think it might be a good fit.
Okay, actually, one more question. I won't take too much of your time. What made you choose Sony as a platform? Because I know a lot of indies are actually going towards Sony this generation. What made you guys want to go to Sony?
So I mean, we really look at platforms as like, what's the best fit for this particular game? You know, we partnered up with Microsoft and put Mark of the Ninja on Microsoft because it was just a great fit for the console at the time.
I was a little mad at that too. I was a little mad at that because I wanted to play that, but we'll talk about it.
Similarly with Don't Starve, I mean, Don't Starve is self-published, so we can put it wherever. But it was just a great fit because Sony came out with the new console, and as a smaller team, we can only do so many things at one time. And so we decided to do Sony because they were talking about, they're trying to really promote and push indie stuff. And whether that's our games or another developer games that are here in the indie booth, heck yeah, we want indie games. We want consoles to be accessible to indie people who don't necessarily have giant publishers and stuff. Yeah. So we went with them, and we were on the stage with them at E3 showing off Don't Starve because we did. We wanted to help them embrace the indie community, so that was the first place we put it.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
And this is your girl, Crunk Girl 711 from SheAttack.com, and we're out.